So I only have, don't worry, I'm not going to slide you to death, but I think some of you may have seen me yesterday. We talked a lot about, last year I did IT/OT Convergence, and I was 100 days in at Kohler. And yesterday I had the opportunity to do the sequel, so I was 100 days plus 1 year. And so I want to take a moment to go a little bit deeper, something I said, but maybe we'll frame some of our conversation. So quickly, just so that you get from a Kohler perspective, many of you may not know that we are highly diversified, and I am the CISO, and I get to cover IT, OT, regulatory compliance, privacy, all of those things fall under me. So our hospitality arm, we have consumer data, end user data, PCI, regulations, privacy concerns. Power is our traditional manufacturing. We do engines, we do gen sets. So that OT problem side of the house, very traditional. And our kitchen and bath, which is what we're most known for, has been a traditional manufacturer to date, but we're moving into smart home. And so we're looking very much into, now not only do I have information about how hot you like your shower and water consumption, in addition to manufacturing, we're shooting it up to the cloud, and you throw somebody's mobile device in there because that's how they're managing their profile. How are we dealing with that ecosystem? So we're very much looking at that, as well as direct to consumer. So we have e-commerce concerns, and how do we handle that information and data and our suppliers. So we really do run the gamut. So yesterday I used this slide. Whoops, go back. Sometimes it's touchy, and I know the clicker it's just wonderful. I used this slide yesterday, and all I'm trying to represent here is that we have so many inputs from IT, from OT, from mobile, from sensors, from what I'll call the IT edge versus edge computing. And we have all these inputs, and how do we deal with them? Do we deal with them differently? Do we deal with them together? And so I talked a lot about people, process, technology, and I said that the way that we can win, I still believe people are most important cross-functionally, understanding each other, but that we have a lot of opportunity in process. And where we can get with process, I said, one of the comments I made was around, if you think about, let's take asset management, which Sid mentioned. It doesn't matter whether you're on the IT side or the OT side. If you don't know what you have, you can't protect it. And so can we get a singular process that both sides can use, right? Because the process should be the same. Now, my inventory on the IT side and how I execute on that might look different than what I'm gonna do on the OT side, right? Because it's different types of inventory. But if my process requires that we do classification and that we do tagging, and that process will work for everyone, then we create this foundation. So what I really wanna frame today, and my one slide here, is guardrails. And I'd like us to consider must do, should do, would like to do. And your must do's are your non-negotiables, right? It doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on, so I gave you some examples. You must do inventory. You must do classification. You must do secure configuration, whatever that means for your particular side, right? Because secure configuration on the OT side, which might be a PLC or it might be a Windows NT box, right? And the mechanism that you're doing is very different than what you're going to do on a Linux machine or on a Windows 2016 machine, right? So secure config can look different, but it's a must-do. Should-dos, right, are things that we're going to create business use cases, and sometimes there will be exceptions based on the business use case. So I put vulnerability management. Well, the business use case on the OT side for an exception might be, we're on Windows NT, and so I can't do vulnerability management on that system without replacing the software, which is gonna cost $1 million. Okay, so that's an exception. How do we mitigate that risk, right? So that's an example there. Or would like to do. And this is where we have a real opportunity. These are best practices that we think people should do, but we want to empower our teams to make those decisions, right? So we give them some documented, these are best practices, this is how we think you should do them. But if you don't do them, as long as you document it as implemented, those are more, we would like to do them, but maybe not now, right? So important, maybe not urgent. So I'd like to kind of use that for some of our conversation, and I just wanted to share that with you in case you guys might have questions about that too.